I'm an indoor cat. Before I launch into today's topic, there's something I've needed to do for probably over a month, and I've just not done it because I keep forgetting, and I am extremely sorry, but I want to say thank you officially in video format, publicly on YouTube, to Bart's Formers for becoming a Patreon member. That really means a lot. Thank you. Again. Yeah. I do appreciate it a lot. This video is just a little bit more of me talking about a thing I've already touched on in a few other videos in the past, but I kind of wanted to give it its own thing. Not just because I'm out of ideas, but because I do feel like legitimately, beyond simply being out of ideas, that having this as a separate video kind of makes sense. And that is the idea that you're not doing it wrong. What I mean by that is how you approach collecting. Again, this is something I've talked about previously, but everyone's going to do it differently. Everyone's got their different priorities, everyone's got their different focus, everyone's got their different favorites, their different reasoning behind things, and that is correct. Which I mean is, you can only do what you want. That is the correct choice, doing what you want with your collection. Not what anyone else wants, what you specifically want. And now that doesn't mean there can't be any discussion. And of course, obviously, if you ask people for their thoughts, opinions, help, that kind of thing, that invites potential conflict is the wrong word, but like potentially different thoughts that might run counter to what you might be thinking. And that's fine when it's asked for. But in a general sense, you are the person in charge of your collection. You get to decide what is and is not going to make the cut. If you want to focus on having one representation of every character, that's awesome. If you want to do just Masterpiece, that's also awesome. If you want to do just official, if you want to do mixture of official and third party, if you want to do just third party, if you never want to touch KOs, all of that is legitimate, all of that is valid. And I feel like that's something that is both necessary for us all to keep in mind, the idea that, if we're not interested in a thing for our collection one way or another, then that's fine. Nobody else has the right to make us do something we don't want to do with our collection. Arguably, they have the right to express their thoughts on why you're wrong. That is a jerk thing to do because people are allowed to do things however they want. But yeah, it's more getting back to that whole if you ask for help thing, then it kind of more is okay. But and it's something I feel like, and I don't mean this as some kind of I'm above it all thing. It's just not a thing that comes up with me that often, like me doing it to other people, because I stay away from the TFW forums. I've browsed a couple of times. Lurking, I believe, might still be the term. It was back when I was using forums more regularly, but I lurk the TFW forums every now and then. I look at posts. I've never made an account. I've never posted. I'm never going to post because I see how y'all talk to each other on TFW, and I want no part of that. I haven't been guilty of that just by virtue of the fact that I refuse to touch the forums, but I'm sure there have been moments where I might have said something ridiculous or unnecessary without thinking if I had been a part of TFW. Point is, it's something to both keep in mind for yourself and keep in mind when talking to other people. If they're doing something you disagree with, it's okay if you disagree with it, but if it makes them happy, I really don't think it's necessary to vocalize your disagreement. Unless they're inviting that kind of interaction, and I don't mean by simply posting online. Contrary to what everyone seems to say, posting a thing online is not an open invitation for any random person to jump in and be a jackass. If someone is, asking around, asking for advice, asking for thoughts and opinions on how they might want to approach their collection, by all means weigh in. And yeah, even if you're not asked, feel free to share your thoughts, but just again, don't be combative about it. And this isn't me necessarily lecturing everyone watching these videos, because for all I know, the people like all of you who are watching this don't do that. And that's cool if you don't. But just as a general thing. And once again, in terms of people talking to you as to how you should approach collecting, don't listen to them. If they're talking to you like that, if they're trying to say, oh, you're wrong for doing this, or it's stupid to want to do this, or this is incorrect, or whatever, just completely ignore them. I'm a big fan of block and move on with my life, but I don't know if that option exists depending on the situation. For some folks, like maybe you can't just block someone, but like don't take their advice to heart, because at the end of the day, the only person who really gets to decide what your collection is going to be is you. If you're not familiar with the way I used to and still kind of do approach my collection, it's not so much wanting to have one representation of every character, but wanting to have multiple representations of very specific characters. So like having several different sound waves, but only a couple are like G1 style. I have, Reactivate Soundwave, which I maintain is a fantastic figure. Reactivate Soundwave, Animated Soundwave, Earthspark Deluxe Soundwave. For Grimlock, I don't even know if you can see him. You can kind of barely see them on the shelf behind me, but for Grimlock, I've got G2 Grimlock, I've got Blocky's Grimlock, I've got Earthspark Grimlock, I've got the little tiny turbo changer Grimlock. That's just kind of how I approach it. I've got my handful of very specific characters that are favorites for one reason or another. I have a particular soft spot for Ultra Magnus because I was really fond of the G1 toy. There's obviously Nemesis Prime. Point is, that's my approach. And that doesn't make it right or wrong. It just makes it the correct approach for me personally. No one else has to do it the way I do it. I don't expect anyone else to do it the way I do it. It's probably better if no one else does it the way I do it, because it's kind of annoying to do it that way. Everyone is their own person. Everyone's a little bit different. So everyone's going to have their own ideas on how to do things. And they're not wrong, but like it's not going to be the same for everyone. And also there's just the idea of taste. One person may absolutely love a figure, another person not so much. And that's all down to personal preference, personal taste. There are figures that I think aren't good, that other people love. That doesn't make them wrong. It doesn't make me wrong either. It's just personal preference. And your collection is the same thing. That's all I got. This is probably going to be really quick after I finish editing, but I just wanted to put this out there as its own thing to just remind us all that we're allowed to approach our toy collecting however we want. Boxed, unboxed, keeping things in storage, only putting things out on display. It's all correct. It's all valid. The only thing that matters is what you want for your collection. If it makes you happy, then you're doing it right. So with all that said, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks again for Bart's Formers for joining the Patreon. I am again very sorry it took me this long to say things on a video. I am just somewhat scatterbrained right now. Incidentally, for anyone who is paying attention to the posts that I put up on YouTube, which not everyone does because they're posts, who reads posts, Finley's fine. He had some dental stuff done recently. His recovery is going really well. We actually just got back from his follow-up appointment with the vet today, and he's doing great. The cone's off. He hated the cone. The cone was making him miserable, but the cone is off, and it's basically just the same as things have always been, except now he's only got one lower canine, which is actually really adorable. He does have other teeth. It's just like of the lower canines, he had to have one extracted among other things, other teeth taken out. But he is doing great. It's just been kind of hectic and stressful dealing with that and, being upset in general because, my boy, he's not happy. He's miserable. He's upset. All that is to say, again, I'm very sorry it took so long to say something, but thank you, Bart's Formers. And for everyone else who managed to stick with the video long enough to get past all of my incoherent rambling, what are your I'm curious, what are your approaches to your collection? Because I know everyone's got that different thing that they go for. Everyone's got their specific way they want to do things, whether it's display, play, some combination thereof, how they organize things. So yeah, by all means, feel free to chime in down below with your approach to your collection. And it doesn't have to be just Transformers. It could be other types of toys too. Because I know there are some folks, there's always overlap with Sentai, Kamen Rider, that kind of thing. So, whatever it is, whatever toys you collect, I'm curious to know what your criteria are when it comes to choosing what goes into your collection and deciding how you have it in your space, whether that's storage or display and categorization, that kind of thing. I am legit interested. You don't have to comment, but if you feel like doing it, I would love to read it. Anyway, that's it. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in whatever the next video will be, which will... who knows? Who frickin' knows?